Okay, Michael, that was a 37 damage crit, a phenomenal turn. Well done, classic fighter. Pierre, you're up.
Well, a 37 damage critical hit may be admirable for someone of your stature. I shall blow you away with the utility of my archetypes new level 10 feat.
Okay. What is it?
Well, GM, I would like to stir my allies for 2 actions. All of you within 30 feet of me may step.
Okay, I guess a free step isn't that
Also,
bad.
it uses your reaction. Okay. You may applaud.
Contrary to what my exaggeratory, silly intro may make you think, this archetype is so freaking cool. Do not skip out on Shining Kingdoms because, y'all, this book is phenomenal. I know I said that, what was the last book? Impossible Lands? I don't remember anymore. I think Impossible Lands was like 3 years ago. Time is a myth. I feel like I say every new book for Pathfinder is one of the coolest books we've gotten in a long time, but I'm gonna say it again. Shining Kingdoms has some of the coolest options for archetypes available to your characters. And the Eagle Knight, y'all, the Eagle Knight. Have you ever wanted to make diplomacy a viable combat skill? Well, the Eagle Knight is here for you. Howdy, my name is Nonat, and welcome to my guide for the Eagle Knight archetype for Pathfinder 2e. What's an Eagle Knight in the lore? I don't know. I'm not here to tell you. If you want the lore, buy the book. I'm here to tell you how to roll dice and add numbers. But what is it in combat? It is a really cool, deft, almost commander-like, well, not actual commander, that's an actual class that's coming out, just like a general who can use their words to inspire their allies, not like a bard, this is different, it's different. You use diplomacy to grant bonuses and do some cool stuff. It'll make more sense as I dive right into it, and you dive right into that subscribe button. Starting off with the dedication, ignoring the access, which if you don't understand how access works, well, you can check out the video I uploaded last week. There's link! The prerequisites for this archetype are being trained in both diplomacy and society. That's already a pretty big ask for one archetype. Those are two, I won't say niche skills, diplomacy especially, but a lot of people skip out on society, and so that's a really cool incentive to use an unused skill. The skill itself isn't unused. I call for society rolls at least like once every session, but I feel like a lot of people don't take it as a skill proficiency. Right off the bat, once you have this archetype, if you ever roll diplomacy for initiative, which as a reminder for those who aren't aware, you can roll other skills for initiative as long as you can BS to your GM why you're rolling it. If you're trying to talk an enemy down to avoid conflict and they attack you, you could ask your GM, hey, because I was earnestly trying to avoid this with my words, can I roll diplomacy for initiative? And if the GM says yes, if the GM says yes, then all enemies who have not acted yet are off guard to you on your first turn. Now, the juicy bit is you get the additional lore skill feat, in my opinion, one of the best skill feats in the entire game, specifically for politics lore. If you're unaware, additional lore grants you trained proficiency in your chosen lore, and at levels 2, 7, and 15, automatically increase that skill to expert, master, and legendary respectively. You don't even have to waste skill increases. Just by getting additional lore, politics lore will always be at your highest available moving on. And this is great because once you have this dedication, you can use your politics lore to socialize with government officials. The official terminology in the game is to make an impression or make a request. This is just role-playing. If you are role-playing and trying to make somebody like you, or you are role-playing and trying to get somebody to do something for you, you can roll politics instead of diplomacy, which is kind of crazy and means you don't even need charisma to be good at talking to people, but you'll still want decent charisma because diplomacy is used for other things. The crazy part here for roleplay is the last sentence. If you critically succeed at a check to gather information with politics lore, you know the information without spending any time gathering it. That's insane. Gathering information takes time. Gathering information usually takes a while in game. But if you can just role politics lore and you crit succeed, you just know this stuff. You just know what's going on and who's where, and I think that is so cool. This gives you a lot just for a dedication. Sure, a lot of it is roleplay focused, but guess what? This is a role-playing game. You're probably going to do a lot of roleplay. Level 4 already gives you a way to use your diplomacy skill as a way to support your allies with commitment to equality. For 2 actions, as long as you are an expert in diplomacy, you can roll diplomacy to assist any ally within 30 feet of you. You attempt a diplomacy check against the DC of either their stupefied condition or their frightened condition based on the thing that inflicted it to them. If you succeed, the condition's value is reduced by 1, crit succeed reduced by 2. Just don't critical fail, because then it goes up by 1, and I think that's hilarious. Don't be scared, comrade, we'll win the day. Why do you sound so unsure? What's cool about this is as your proficiency in diplomacy increases, so too do the options you can reduce. Once you are a master in diplomacy, you can reduce clumsy and enfeebled. If you're legendary, you can remove stunned. This is amazing. If you can go before your stunned party member and they're going to lose 1 action at the start of their turn, sure, you have to spend 2 of your own actions to remove it, but if you have nothing better to do, that is a phenomenal way to make your ally have a much better possible turn. There are a lot of limitations to this. For example, if the condition was applied by a level 20 or greater artifact, then you cannot even attempt to counteract it unless you're legendary, and even if you can, the DC is 10 higher, which is crazy for some reason. Additionally, if it's part of a curse or disease, you cannot reduce the condition with this ability, which kind of makes sense. And finally, once you treat a target for any condition, you can't treat them again for another hour for any condition. But it's still really cool to be able to roll diplomacy to just stop an ally from being clumsy. That's great. Alternatively, if you don't want that, you can take Interpose at level 4, which is insanely good action economy. For 2 actions, you stride up to your speed, and this stride has to end adjacent to an ally. You and that ally then swap places, and if you are adjacent to an enemy, you can make a melee attack at the end of all of this. This is sort of 4 actions for 2. 1 to move up to your ally, you and your ally both get to step, they don't even basically spend a reaction, and you get a melee strike. That's cracked. Seriously, the fact that this doesn't use your ally's reaction as part of swapping places is what makes this so insane. You'll see that there's a level 10 feat that I joked about in the intro that is similar to this. It's still different, but it's just funny that the level 10 feat requires your ally's reaction, and this doesn't. Fantastic. Commitment to justice at level 6 is very specific, but can make some really big numbers happen, depending on the situation. If you witness a creature drop one of your allies to 0 hit points, then on your turn, for 1 action, you can strike them, and if you hit, you deal bonus damage equal to triple the number of weapon damage die. You're level 6, you're attacking with 2 weapon damage die, that's just 6 flat bonus damage. That's barbarian rage levels of bonus damage, and if you crit fighters, that's 12 bonus damage. Just keep in mind, this is a flourish, so you can only do it once on your turn, and it only works if they dropped your ally to 0 hit points between your last turn and this one. So you can't commitment to justice every single turn unless you're yo-yo healing everyone up and down, which does not work well in Pathfinder 2e. But even if once per combat you get a strike that deals 6 flat bonus damage, that's going to increase to 9 and 12 bonus damage. And by the way, there are ways to add more damage die. For example, if you're using a weapon with deadly, well, guess what? When you critically hit with deadly, it adds a weapon damage die, which means the bonus damage from commitment to justice is also increasing even more. So if you critically hit with that 2d8 longbow with deadly d10, well, guess what? That d10 counts as a bonus damage die. So that's technically 3 damage die, which is 9 bonus flat damage, but this is a critical hit. So it's 18 bonus flat damage with commitment to justice. Gross. Alternatively, if raw damage bonus isn't your MO and you don't want to rely on your allies going down, you could take Commitment to Liberty. For 2 actions, you can make a strike against a creature that currently has your ally grabbed or restrained. And if you hit, your ally immediately gets to make an escape check as a free action, not even a reaction, which is amazing. And if you happen to crit them with this, your ally gets a +2 to their roll. The cool thing is this doesn't even have to be a melee strike. You could have a longbow or a crossbow and Commitment to Liberty from a range. Putting this on like a crossbow fighter would go so hard. Bolster Ally is so cool and great. I'm trying to imagine this on a monk. As a reaction, once per 10 minutes, if your ally is about to roll a saving throw, they can use your modifier instead of theirs. You throw this on your barbarian, who's got whatever, +12 to fortitude saves, while the wizard's got a +7, then hey, bolster ally, your wizard effectively just got a +5 to their fortitude save. This is crazy. The reason I say it's amazing on a monk is because all the monk saving throws are all incredibly good, but even if you're just putting this on a character with one really good saving throw, like a barbarian, like a kineticist, like a rogue even, letting an ally once per 10 minutes use your modifier instead of their own at a 30-foot range, peak. And here we are. Stir allies. For 2 actions as a flourish at level 10, all allies within 30 feet
Misstep.
as a reaction. I'll be real, compared to the rest of this archetype, this is a really, really weak feat, and it sucks that it's the only level 10 option. I suppose it's nice if you're in a situation with a bunch of NPCs, so you've got like 15 allies, and they can all step. That's not useless, but it does get at least better once you're level 15 and legendary in diplomacy, because everybody can stride as a reaction when you use this. Now that's phenomenal. If you are a backline character, you're going early in initiative and you've got the rogue, fighter, and barbarian in front of you, and you stir allies and they all get a free 30, 40-foot stride, that's insane. This feat is unfortunately, again, stepping isn't worthless. The problem is that it spends your reaction. For some characters, like a wizard who might be getting threatened by a reactive strike, then you can use Stir Allies. Their reaction lets them step, and then on their turn, they can just get out of dodge without risking the reactive strike. It has its uses, but boy, does it feel disappointing as a whole. At level 12, you have Aura of Confidence, which is alright. You gain resistance to mental damage equal to half your level, so you just take 6 less mental damage forever, and then you and your allies within 15 feet get +2 to all saves against mental effects. Mental effects are more common than you'd think. Anything that inflicts the frightened condition is a mental effect, and any kind of domination effect is obviously going to be that as well, so it has its uses. The best part of this is that it's passive. You don't spend actions, it doesn't take a resource, you don't turn it on or off. It is just permanent. Every time anyone might get scared, all they gotta do is huddle up close to your Eagle Knight, and you get +2. It's pretty damn good, all things considered, and if you are going into melee alongside a couple of other marshals who might have a lower will save, this is really good to have on hand. However, if you want to be more proactive, you could take Talmandor's Shout. For 2 actions, once per day, if you witnessed a creature hurt your friend when they were within 30 feet of you, which is a little bit overspecific, but you shout and demoralize all enemies within 60 feet. On top of that, it doesn't take a penalty for not sharing a language, which means you can intimidate animals and beasts and elementals with this, which is really cool. Here's my problem with this feat. It doesn't use diplomacy. This entire archetype is based on diplomacy. Diplomacy and society are the prerequisites for the dedication. Why does this, I guess the prerequisite for this one is master and intimidation, which is brutal. If you want to take this feat, you will have to have a high diplomacy to use the rest of the archetype and a master in intimidation just for this feat. That's weird to me. That's a lot of investment into intimidation just for this one feat, which if you've got other things for intimidation and you are demoralizing consistently, it's useful. The problem is this still counts as demoralizing. Don't get me wrong, 60-foot range demoralize is really, really good. Just never forget that it still counts as a demoralize action, meaning regardless of the result, they are all immune to your demoralize for the next 24 hours. Or is it for an hour? It's been a while. It's a good feat. It doesn't feel like it matches perfectly well. It's something to do with the Celestial Talman door, so there's some lore connections there, I'm sure. But as a design around the diplomacy archetype, it feels a little bit weird. And finally, both of the level 14 feats are incredibly appealing, and the nice thing is they're so low level, you could technically take both, one at 14, one at 16, starting with even the odds once per day as a free action when you use Commitment to Equality, which as a reminder is the one that reduces a status effect, a condition on your ally. You can actually roll twice and take the higher result, and if you succeed, you also grant your ally 25 temporary hit points. They last for a minute. It's pretty good. Once per day, free advantage on reducing something increases the chance to crit and reduce that by 2. It's not bad. It's really, really good. Those 25 temporary hit points are nice. I kind of wish it was once per hour, not once per day. I've talked about this at length on multiple other videos. I'm not a big fan of once per day abilities. One of my favorite things that me and my friend Callie talk about is how it feels bad to run out of character. Like, aside from spell slots, which even I'm still not the biggest fan of spell slots these days, it's not fun to run out of abilities. So once per day sucks. I'm totally fine with long wait times though, like an hour. That's like once per combat kind of deal. Once per day, especially for level 14 feat, feels bad. But why would you ever take that when you can take Immediate Rebuke? You can use Reactive Strike when a creature within your reach strikes one of your allies. That's gross. Remember, it just uses the Reactive Strike ability. And it just, when they strike one of your allies. It doesn't matter if they hit. It doesn't matter if they do damage. It doesn't matter if they miss. This is one of the easiest reactive strikes to get off in the entire game. No longer do you have to worry about them making a move action or something. Sure, you have to have taken Commitment to Justice to pick this up. That's fine. This is one of the strongest reactive strike feats in the game, which makes sense. It's level 14. And if you're taking this on a class that's not a fighter, if you're taking this on a barbarian, and your giant instinct Great Axe Barbarian gets reactive strikes anytime they attack anyone other than you while within your reach? Remember, you're giant. You've got like 15 feet of reach. And there you go. That's the Eagle Knight archetype. I love this archetype. There's a few misses. Obviously, Stir Allies I like to poke fun at. It's not useless, but it's not a standout. Same with the Commitment to Liberty, which is good. A nice little way to get people out of grab is good. But overall, I really love this archetype. It's done some really cool stuff. I love being able to use diplomacy in combat. Helping your ally. Removing Clumsy is huge. Obviously, removing anything is great. Removing Frightened, fantastic. And it's the cooldown being separate character to character, so you can help each of your allies once per day or once per hour, whichever. It's just great. It's a great archetype, and I highly recommend throwing it on a character that you want to be either a support. You can also use it aggressively. That reactive strike feat at level 14 is nuts, and I love it. Paizo is somehow still finding ways to make rad archetypes with a little bit of overlap with other archetypes and other classes, but done in such a way that it still has its own identity. And at the end of the day, a little bit of overlap is good, because you can still choose the archetype that best resonates with your character, both for flavor and for the mechanical character you want to play. It's awesome. I love this archetype. Definitely check it out. And check out Shining Kingdoms if you haven't already. The Lost Omens line just goes so hard. And everybody in these books is so hot.